August, we got a big month coming up in August out in Las Vegas. In August 2019, we're going to be out in at the Orleans Hotel and Casino for 9 days of intense world-class hypnosis training. We're doing a 3-day Killer Charisma, Forbidden Secrets of Covert Hypnotic Influence. This is not Killer Influence. This is a much different, well, not a much, actually it is a much different puppy. This is going to be a training for beginners to advanced on covert hypnosis, much like our original core Killer Influence course, but then we're going to deviate into some very powerful other aspects. We're going to talk, just like before, we're going to talk about the 7 stages of persuasion, the Universal Persuasion Protocol, echo technique, how to make people like, love, and trust you in as little as 20 minutes, how to link everything you want somebody to do to their emotional desire to do it, so they want to do what you want them to do. We're going to talk about spatial hypnotic operators, meta programs, DRTs, but we're not going to spend as much time on those because we're going to jump into something that's even more powerful, and that is what I call attraction psychology. There's been a lot of research over the past 30 or 40 years as to how antisocial persuasion experts hack the psychology of attraction to cause people to become hyper-suggestible. And I managed to get my hands on some really powerful information that synergizes really, really well with our Killer Influence training system. And so you can consider this your defense against the dark arts class, because we're going to teach you everything you need to know about how to influence people covertly. And then we're going to show you these this five-stage system that social predators use to, pardon my French, to mindfuck good people. So you can learn how it's done so you can protect yourself against it, and then use it in your benevolent way. There's no world domination class, Zach, I'm sorry.
But I'm still developing.
Right? But we're going to teach you that as well. So we're also going to teach you some stuff about negotiation and how to protect yourself through what I call renegade reframes. How to rapidly change people's beliefs or obliterate objections in normal conversation. So we're going to be taking data from our CPI 3 class, which is all about conversational reframe and overcoming objections. We're going to teach you how the FBI, CIA, and all kinds of crisis negotiators hack persuasion technologies and incorporate that in there. We're going to teach you the attraction psychology stuff that nobody's teaching. We're going to show you how to hypnotize people anytime, anywhere, for any reason, completely covert without their knowledge. And most importantly, we're going to teach you something called the red flag system, which was developed by Wendy Patrick, which is a system that allows you to screen the people in your life to make sure they're not one of these social predators. The problem with a lot of the people who are the social predators out there, they've spent a lot of time in what we call proactive behavior. They've spent an outrageous amount of time psychologically profiling their victims and their marks. So they know exactly what emotional needs they're most hungry for. And then they change themselves to match that. Okay? And there's a 5-stage process that they use. I'm going to show you that process. I'm going to teach it to you so you can learn how to do it. Because if you don't know how to do it, you don't know how to recognize it. And if you don't know how to recognize it, you can't protect yourself from it. So that's the first thing that's going to happen. Then I'm going to teach you the red flag system, which is how when people come into your life that may seem like they just walked out of your ideal fantasy, you can know exactly how to screen them. It's a 4-stage system, flags, it's an acronym. We'll teach you that system, and so when you want to, you can actually personality profile people based on their social media and all these things and know if they're more likely to be what they say they are. Does that make sense? So if you like the 3 magic questions where you literally prime people to give you all the information that allows you to figure out if they're keepers or not, and while simultaneously, being attracted to you, this is the next step. Well, it's how to find out if they're really who they say they are. Which, by the way, if you're doing 3 magic questions, you have a pretty good idea because it gets harder to lie to you the longer they're in the 3 magic questions process, right? But we're going to combine that, and then we'll throw in the 36 magic bullets, which are 36 questions that when you bring them up in normal conversation and in the process of answering them causes the person to fall deeper and deeper in love with you. It's really it was discovered by scientists. Believe it or not. I'll give you the whole story. But what they literally were doing is they were trying to find a way to study relationships in people who didn't have one. So they came up with this series of questions to facilitate a relationship so they could study other things. So it's like you're digging for gold and you strike oil, right? What they didn't realize when they created these series of questions was that the people who were doing this got so bonded, so connected to it, a bunch of them actually wound up getting married in as little as 90 minutes. They didn't get married in 90 minutes, but that was it is Vegas, but that's in the science. If you go to PubMed and you pull up the study, you'll see it in the abstract, right? And so it took me about 3 years to weaponize that into something that was actually useful. But if you don't believe me, some people back in the day, about 4 or 5 years ago, I guess when it came out, I'm not sure exactly when, they actually grabbed those questions and turned it into an app, right? Which you play as like a card game or something at a date. I've made it a little bit more conversational. I've drafted it onto the 3 Magic Questions protocol. We'll be teaching that out there too. So that's a lot for 3 days.
3 Magic Questions is lethal enough.
Oh, I know, but there's levels beyond it, right? So if you've liked the 3 Magic Questions, you'll love everything else. But you have to have the foundation. So it's also one of the reasons why we did this class as a Killer Influence variant, because on the end of the HypnoThoughts convention, which is HypnoThoughts Live Hypnosis Convention, is August 16th through the 18th, 2019. It's a 3-day convention. I'll be teaching 2 of the 3 days. And in addition to me presenting, there will be expert hypnotists from all over the world, high-level names presenting really cool stuff. It is by far the best hypnosis convention on the planet. It is well worth attending. There will be some luminaries there who I wanted to study with, but I've never been to HypnoThoughts before, like Doug O'Brien, for one, an expert in sleight of mouth and a lot of cool stuff. He was a trainer for Tony Robbins for a long time. He's written a bunch of books that are very popular. He'll be there for the first time. Mike Mandel will be there. Melissa Tiers will be there. I don't know if Marissa Peers will ever show up at a HypnoThoughts convention, but I'm sure she'd be a hit if she did. Who else? Richard Nongard. TJ will be presenting on audio and visual techniques and equipment. So if you liked what you got today over the weekend, if you aren't already taking him up on his offers to guide you through that process of creating your AV systems, when would now be a good time to get that done, right? And finally, on the final 3 days after the convention, we're going to do vibrational influence. So in this class, we're going to go into remote influence. We're going to go into remote viewing, because some of you do know this, some of you don't, but I was at one time the president of the American Association of Remote Viewers. I served in that capacity for about a year, and I learned the original Stanford and DID protocols. Is it DID or DEA? I can't remember. Anyway, protocols for technical and coordinate remote viewing, specifically coordinate remote viewing. And so we'll be teaching applications from that, and then we'll take that foundation and we'll teach you how to do remote influence. And this is where we can actually, from across the room, ultimately from across the planet, if we want to, literally raise and lower people's blood pressure, their body temperature, their heartbeat, and you'll actually be able to objectively measure. We'll actually when you partner up, we'll actually hook you up to machines, and you'll take baseline readings, and then you'll separate, and you'll start, knowing who you're working with and what you want to do, and the other person will know what they're trying to do, and then you'll gradually become more and more blinded, to the point where you're working with somebody, you don't even know who it is you're tasking, and the person doesn't know what character, what trait or attribute you're manipulating. And sometimes you'll draw a chit from a random chit from a box or whatever, and it'll say raise the blood pressure, lower the blood pressure, raise the body temperature, or lower the body temperature, do nothing. Right? So we try to minimize the effect of actual suggestion or placebo, even though it's kind of a misnomer because everything is placebo, right? But so you can calibrate. We'll teach you how to get rapport with not just people, but elements, vibrational elements, the elements of our universe, fire, water, air, earth, have a frequency range that is pregnant, for lack of a better word, with information. Information that you can access and manipulate if you understand the rapport skills you learned in Killer Influence or CPI. We're going to show you how to do that. We're going to show you how to work with those energies, the way the Daoists did, the way that the Ayurveds did, and the way the hermetics did, and show where they all integrate, where they all overlap, so that you know what's the same. We're going to give you the specific drills to develop that ability in yourself, and then we're going to set you loose on each other to actually create phenomena. How to make yourself heavy, how to make yourself light, how to amplify your body temperature just by a certain breathing pattern or a sound that you make. Right? These are all things that this is one of the components that's largely left out in a lot of our Qigong exercise that are health derivatives or whatever. We talk about fire and we talk about these things, but they don't tell us why it's important to develop them. It's important to develop because those elemental correspondences build your energy body. They make it stronger, more robust, so it survives after you transition. It also, as a byproduct, makes you more charismatic. When you start building these energy attributes, you start clearing out all of your negative personality traits, you start amplifying your positive personality traits, and so you become your best self. You become more self-actualized. You evolve your neurology, is what I like to call it. That's really what hermetic practice is, which Taoism, or the Daoist, esoteric Buddhism, the Druidic stuff, the Egyptian stuff, the Hawaiian stuff, it's all based on this core set of principles that are universal. And once you understand the principles, you can reverse engineer this, which is what I've been doing. From there, those things will amplify everything you already do. They will amplify everything you already do. They will make you more powerful, more influential. The universe will literally align itself because that connection that you have to the non-local grows stronger. Okay? Now, you don't have to believe me. Just do the training, and you'll understand. We're going to, and in line with manifestation, I'm also going to teach you what I call the ultimate manifestation method, which some of you know of as image cycling. We're going to go very deep into how that process can be used in other ways and how it relates. Because there was a whole bunch of epiphanies that I had after I learned how to use that particular image cycling process for manifestation and healing. But we're going to teach you that. We're going to teach you the Reiki system so you understand how that works. We're going to teach you DNA Theta healing, which is all about where they're in the inverse of each other. Reiki is where you bring a higher level energy down. Theta is where you take the person up to that frequency and you literally command a healing and watch it happen. It's very cool. But they're very much the inverse of each other. You learn how to compare and contrast that with things like the Pranic healing model, which is more like energy surgery. Right? A pranic healer is going to scrape out energies, he's going to put other energy in, and it's a very conscious process. Right? Very, very different, but he's still channeling energy from one place to another. And then, of course, you'll learn about the Qigong model, which basically I call the Duracell model. Qigong models, as a rule, treat the human being like a big battery. You suck up all this energy and you hold on to it, and when you need to use it, and then you replenish it. The problem with that model is that if you use too much of the energy and you haven't replenished it, you drain yourself, but also the back pressure from the energetic healing actually causes those healers to become more susceptible to the diseases they treat. And a lot of those healers, because they do too much healing, they actually wind up contracting. Like if they're specializing in cancer, they'll wind up with cancer. Right? Now, it's not that model is bad. Every model has its pros and cons and are better for certain things. Right? And we'll show you how all of that fits into the scope of the hermetic system that we're using. And we'll show you some stuff that's unique to the hermetic systems that aren't directly encompassed by those healing modalities. We'll teach you how to do that one-on-one. We'll teach you how to do it from across the room. We'll teach you how to do it from across the planet. I'm also going to show you some other things that aren't the Kuji-based, but they're also Mudra-based. There are certain Mudra positions that will actually make you more intelligent as time goes on, that will eliminate fear and make you more courageous. There are hand mudras that will make you more hypnotic. Those are my real secret ones. But I'll show them to you, and I'll teach you to them, and I'll point you just like before. I'll point you at the books if you want to go and follow up on me or do whatever. Okay? But that's my intention, is to just indoctrinate you into all of this stuff. We'll show you how to enter people's dreams, install suggestions. I don't do remote viewing. Oh, sorry, I don't do astral projection. I do remote viewing. I don't do spoon bending. But Zach does. And he's going to be there, so I may have him teach spoon bending or something like that. What else do I teach, TJ, at Vibrational Influence that... Yeah, that's the interesting thing. Vibrational. Yeah, 2 years ago, this is where it got really funny. 2 years ago, I started, and I'm always hesitant about teaching vibrational influence because the field is so full of charlatans and frauds and people who use suggestion in place of actual energetic phenomena. And you'll understand why both are important and why one is weak without the other. And you'll see how to remove pain, suffering. All the things you see us do in our other classes will take on a much deeper significance. All the techniques in the Identity by Design silo, when you go through this course, you'll learn all about chakras, you'll learn about how to clear chakras, the anatomy of a chakra, how to gauge chakra spin, diagnose them, fix them. You'll learn all that stuff. And you'll test it. You'll actually do it. You'll actually get results with that. Okay? It's all hands-on. We're going to teach you remote viewing, remote influence. We're going to teach you energy healing skills. We're going to teach you chakra work. We're going to teach you the vibrational, like the elemental sounds and positions, all the things that we would normally teach in our regular standard vibrational influence course days. And trust me, your plate's going to be full. But you'll be able to do some really cool stuff. Right? And of course, once the doors close and I go around and say, what do you want to learn? What do you want to learn? What do you want to learn? Right? The curriculum might change a little bit. But the reason that but because vibrational influence in my world is an advanced class, and you need those core skills, the state control, the rapport, the self-directed trance work. We did the killer influence class in the beginning of the week so that people who want to come to vibrational influence will have those prereqs. And we actually have, for HypnoThoughts attendees, we'll have a 2-for-1 special that we're doing and stuff like that. So if you're interested in those applications, what's wrong, little buckaroo?
I'm so depressed.
Okay.
Are you going to be putting those those trainings on your website?
Some of them will. Like I said, well, actually, what we do for the HypnoThoughts crew is we try to keep the trainings from the HypnoThoughts world separate from all the other trainings. So the people who join the HypnoThoughts events get private access to all that content. So when you buy the HypnoThoughts sign-up package, which is different from your Mondo package, when you buy the HypnoThoughts package, you actually get the video of every single event we've done, every HypnoThoughts event we've done, both the pre-conferences and the post-conferences and all the breakouts I did during the conventions for the last 4 years. So everything we did last year, you get as a bonus, right? So it's a really, really stupidly good deal. Plus you get all the current, like these classes that we do here, they'll be in your members area too as an extra bonus for signing up. Like I told you before, HypnoThoughts is the one time of year where I kind of give more than usual. And so for those of you who've had that package before, it's awesome, right? And there's literally hundreds of hours of content for free that you get in addition to the live trainings, right? But that is different from Armando packages because that's a revenue share I do with HypnoThoughts and it screws up my bookkeeping. So if you want that package, I can register you for that package, but that's not included with your Mondos.